Welcome in, everybody. The Kansas City Chiefs have a new star on television, and they're going to have a whole new lineup of players in another draft class. We're going to take a look at a couple of things tonight. Welcome. This is the Sunday Night Live, is where I'm calling it in honor of Travis Kelce today. We're going to talk about a number of things, answer some of your questions tonight. I'm Ryan Tracy, the founder of this channel, as well as Rogue Analytics and NFL 33. So welcome in. You may have heard me on Locked On Chiefs if you don't know me already. Got a lot of friends in here already asking some good questions, and we'll take some of those tonight as well. I want to start, and Dan will possibly be joining us later. So welcome. I hope you guys are doing good for a Sunday. I was pleasantly surprised at how calm, and I think he was a little jittery, Travis was there at the beginning of SNL, but I think he did a pretty good job loosening up and getting into it. It was nice to see Creed and Jason on there as well. A lot going on with it, but it's a whole different world to be able to jump into, and I think that is definitely something that Travis probably has in his future. I think he'll be good at that. I like that, Night Hunter, motivational speaker. And yes, if you're new to the channel, hit that thumbs up, hit the like, and make sure that you join as a sub. If you want into the memberships, that's where you get the behind-the-scenes stuff, all the nitty-gritty kind of deal, as well as getting into the Discord with the rest of the membership crew here. You can join over underneath here somewhere. Hit that join button. If you would, please join at the rookie level or above to get into the Discord, and you'll get an invite over there. You can check that out for the opening room, the initial one that everybody can get to. You can get to it right here. That's discord.bit.ly at RGR Nation. And that helps get over there. And motivation is not something that Travis Kelce lacks. I thought he did a really good job. I thought there were a number of pieces that were pretty awesome all the way around. But I think probably my favorite had to be the Indiana Jones thing. Like, I think that was incredible. Let me know what your favorite was in the chat. And if you're watching this on replay, in the comments as well, because I want to know, like, if everybody kind of saw the same thing I did. I had to like record it and then watch it late at night after I was working through all the Athletic Matrix results from yesterday on the combine. And the Athletic Matrix is going to be available a little bit earlier than normal this year. I'm getting a jump on it a little bit, and it's something that I think you guys might want to check out. It's going to come up here. You can pre-order it right now. And that goes a long way, because as I put it together, I don't know exactly the day it'll drop this year because I'm trying to speed it up. So if you go pre-order now, what'll happen is I'll let you know as soon as it's out, and you can go right back through your receipt that you'll receive via email, and you can go download it. The other thing is, usually I put the Matrix out once, and then it gets updated in the draft guide. This time I'm going to put the Matrix out twice. So the Combine edition and then the End edition just before the draft, that will coincide and stay different from the draft guide. So you can check that out as well over at rogueapc.com. You can go get that and get squared away right now. So as I was doing that, I kind of postponed everything and watched Travis a little bit late. I got to admit, I didn't necessarily stay awake for all of it. It was kind of up and down, in and out, but that's kind of how I felt about where he kind of performed. But I got to put it out there, as good as he was most of the night. One thing bothered me, and I'll put it on screen here in a second, because it was just hard to watch a little bit. And I want to know what you guys think. So tell me what you thought about this scene, because this it was one of those deals where I couldn't watch it all. I had to like either rewind it or fast forward it, because I couldn't just stay with it. It was just a little creepy, I gotta tell you. Good for him for pulling it off, and I think you can see the gold chain and slick back hair future of Travis Kelce coming. We'll see how it works. His brother's definitely a lot different. And hey, kudos to Jason for even during the monologue being able to keep that face steady. I thought he did a good job there, and it's entertaining to watch those guys work. The bit with Creed in it as well, I thought was a lot of fun. So again, let me know what your favorites are here. I want to see what you guys were thinking. A lot of combine questions. I like that. The doll one, yeah, that's a good point, Rebel. That was a little bit out there too. And Night Hunter, I won't argue with you at all about that. So let's see who else had a comment. They cut the best skit of the night, huh? Okay. Jason was awesome. I agree. Let's see. Okay, getting some of your questions, and you guys know you're doing great. If you're not one of us and here all the time, if you put some question marks at the beginning of your question, it certainly helps me find it. So if you guys are having any kind of trouble, let me know, because looks like my internet is stable and good tonight. So just want to make sure that that's staying there. Mayor James, appreciate your support. Thank you for that, sir. And I know you had a couple questions. We're going to get right into those, and I think we'll start with yours. So what the mayor had asked is, I think it's possible the case he moves up in round one for a wide receiver or defensive end, depending on what's left after 20s. Thoughts? I think that's a very good thought, and I think it'll depend not necessarily on those position groups, but the players within those position groups that maybe the Chiefs really have high on their board. I hear a lot of talk on TV and around radio and a lot of the blogosphere right now that because the Chiefs had a meeting with Nolan Smith, that they're real high on him. And I think he's a great player. I have him in the top 5 edge rusher group, but he's really not a fit for the Spags system. So as much as that may be true, like I think a lot of the media aren't really connecting the dots about what Spags wants. George Karlaftis was a perfect fit, but wasn't the athlete that Nolan Smith is. And we saw them pass on athletes for fit. And so I think that we do need to keep that in mind. But if one of the guys falls, Tyree Wilson is a guy they're going to like. I think later in the last round, I think Adewara has got himself into the first round, to tell you the truth, at the back where the Chiefs are picking. I think Lucas Van Ness has done enough to do there as well. But you just never know. It'll depend exactly on who's on their board, where. And yes, they could move up. So I think striking distance is what they're thinking about. 20 is the perfect spot, Mr. Mayor. That's kind of what they did with Trent McDuffie last year, where it was just enough to get up there and get your guy because he had fallen down. Now, the guy that I think that should be is actually an offensive tackle, and that's Broderick Jones. I think what you saw in the workouts today was a very good comparison of he and Paris. Paris Johnson from Ohio State and Broderick Thomas are my top 2 tackles. I have Peter Skoronski as a guard now. Now, he was great. His athleticism was there. I think he showed up a little bit better than Paris and Broderick, to tell you the truth, overall, which wasn't necessarily a surprise. In fact, I have a couple of sample profiles I'll put out here later tonight of the athleticism around Skoronski and the tackle who actually did the best today as well. There's a little bit there to be thought of. So what I think is it's going to be about the player, not necessarily the position, but if it's any of those positions, receiver, edge, offensive tackle, any of those, if one of their guys gets to say, I think they'll start paying attention about 16. If they get to 19, the alarm bells are going to go off and they're going to start making a lot of calls. That's one of the scenarios that I go over in tomorrow's Locked On Chiefs mock draft for the Chiefs. And we'll start doing those here on RGR as well, but I try to get through as many scenarios as we possibly can through this whole process. But I hope that answered your question. Thank you, Mr. Mann. I appreciate the support. Folks, if you want to support the channel, you can do it through the Super Chats, or you can do it through buying gear at the RGR store. There's a link in the description that you can tackle that with, and that always helps. So we're going to go back up to the top and get back with Terry. He said, would you trade MVS, and I assume, and a second rounder for Hopkins? I don't think Hopkins is going to draw 1, that's for sure. The bigger problem is that offset that you would lose in trading MVS would be about $7 million. And that's not going to make up near for what the cost is for Hopkins. So that wouldn't get it done. You'd have to get him to an extension as well. And I think a sound and an extension and a player is probably a little rich for what the team wants to do. I would do MVS in a third, and I think that might balance it out a little bit more. I don't know that Veach would do either, to tell you the truth. And I'm glad that they have interest, but I do think it's probably interest in the event that he gets released, which is kind of what I'm expecting. It's good for them to have options, but I think in the end, they're probably just going to have to cut him. Caroline, hope you're well. Thoughts on the TE testing today or yesterday? Who catches your eye and what day would you take him? Learning a lot. Thanks for the coverage. You're absolutely welcome for that, and thanks for asking. I do have the initial matrix here. I haven't double-checked every value yet, and that's part of my process that I take the initial ones, and then I go back and verify the official numbers, et cetera, as they come out. But really, I think the guy who is going to end up being Matrix 1 for tight ends is going to be Kuntz, the giant kid from Old Dominion. He came in at 607.3. That's nearly 6'7 and a half. He and Darnell Washington were the biggest guys out there. And I mean, you saw, if you haven't seen it, I retweeted it, but Darnell's last catch of the day on the last rep was an incredible one-hander that he asked for to be placed high so that he could show his leaping ability and just how long he is and what his target area becomes. And I thought that was super smart of Darnell Washington. Now, I have Darnell right on the edge of being a first rounder because his athletic testing was good. I want to see, let's see, I'll double check him right here. He came in overall of this testing at 9 in the matrix. That's pretty good. And I think what you see, if you guys see Raz is everywhere now, and kudos to Math Bomb because he does a great job. But that is a statistical comparison percentile-wise to other raw scores. It has nothing to do with functionality. And so what the matrix does is it puts all the things that they have to do on a given play together into a functional metric. And that's why it's a little bit different, because as good as his testing was, Darnell Washington's gait is a little bit iffy at times. And I think there are some holes in there. Specifically, he doesn't have exactly the biggest vert. I think that's why he wanted to show that off there at that last rep. But going back to Kuntz is a kid I haven't even watched on film. I don't have any Old Dominion film. I'm going to have to go get that because now he kind of perked my interest. But he's still a day 3 guy at any at all. I can't see him breaking into the top 100, or I would have already known about him. I will tell you that. Other guys that stood out to me, I thought the kid from Clemson, Davis Allen, stood out quite a bit. Very, very smooth. If anyone on that field reminded me a little bit of Travis in how easy their movement was, it was him. Now, we didn't see Kincaid. Kincaid is very, very similar. The kid from Utah. He used to be somebody that we'll talk about on the run-up to the draft. But I thought Davis Allen really stood out, and he is likely – could he sneak in the top 100? Maybe. He's right on the edge there, but I do think he's probably more of a top of the 4th, middle of the 4th kind of round guy. And if the Chiefs like them, they can move around in order to secure him, I'm pretty sure. Kuntz is probably a little bit farther down. The other guy that I was really happy with, he didn't stand out in a huge way in terms of the athletic testing. And I don't have a bench press on him yet, and I do want to know that part. And that's Luke Schoonmaker from Michigan. I thought he also has a really nice balance of being able to split out like Travis does into the wide receiver sets, into like the slot positions, come back in. He can block from the Y. He's really good at executing wham blocks and interior blocks as an H-back. So he can do a little bit of everything. He's like a bigger, stronger version of Noah Gray, to tell you the truth. I think he's maybe a lot more linear than Noah Gray is. When I look at his change of direction, it's not elite. And I'm just waiting on, if I normalize the score, and I'll do that for you guys, that puts Schoonmaker, he bumps Darnell Washington out for the number 9 overall matrix and ends up 8th in explosion. And that's important. The verticality is important. Now, Travis has a tendency to run some long routes. Doesn't mean that every tight end has to. So this would be, I think, a compliment to Travis rather than a guy that could be replacing. Whereas I think Allen is probably a guy that could end up doing some of Travis's role, take some reps off of him in the next few years, and eventually be asked to do some of his work. Now, looks like we're going to get Dan here in a second. I'm going to pipe him in, but I just want to say thank you, Caroline. Appreciate your words. And that was a great question. I hope that I answered it enough. Maybe Dan has a tight end that stood out to him here. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing good. How are you guys doing? How's everyone doing, man?
A lot of good questions. Folks are in the house. A lot of our regulars. So, hey, welcome to the show. Taylor was just asking about tight ends. Anybody stand out to you specifically?
Luke Schoonmaker out of Michigan actually tested better than I expected him to. He had a pretty good season. Obviously, Michigan isn't exactly known for their passing attack, especially even if they have a quarterback who can throw the football down the field. Jim Harbaugh, I don't care. But he was a he was a very reliable target for JJ McCarthy down the stretch, and like I said, he tested far better than I expected him to. So that's somebody who looks like a moldable ball of clay that I didn't expect to be saying today. So that's cool.
Funny that you just mentioned him because I just mentioned him too. That's hilarious. I thought there was a lot of interesting options there. And I think, again, I don't think that's a top 3 pick for the Chiefs, but it is something that they can come back to and I think pick up some talent, and that's going to be important. So let's see. We have a couple of super chats. I want to make sure we get to those right away. Yevgeny, thank you. Where did the combine performance change your ratings for the O-line or edge? Do you think enough tackle players from other positions could slide into the first round to benefit us? I heard today from Dan Jeremiah's mouth that he thinks 4 tight ends and 4 quarterbacks. That's music to the Chiefs' ears, in my opinion. I thought of the 2, I think Paris looked smoother in drills. I think Broderick handles his power a lot better. So this is definitely one of those situations that for those 2 guys who are the tackle 1 and 2 on my board right now, it's very much a difference between on the field and at the combine. But I'm very happy with both of them, and I'm a little bit happy that Broderick didn't go overboard. He didn't test as amazing as I thought he would. That feels like he might sink down to the Chiefs a little bit more. So I got my fingers crossed.
Yeah, I'm not going to put my hat in that bucket at all because I'm far more convinced that he's a top 10, top 15 pick. But I don't think it changed much for me in terms of the tackle group. These guys tested well. I expected a lot of them to test well. The same for the defensive ends. And that's just kind of how the cookie crumbles at this point in time. You have the tape, and unless somebody does something extremely drastic, then that's really the only thing that's going to change for me. But again, I haven't seen all of the drills yet. I still have a little bit of time to go back. They'll be replaying it on NFL Network. Like I've had to scoot in and out trying to have my daughter go to the park and drop her off. I took the night off last night to relax. So just getting back into it. But there's one guy I'm almost certain is not going to be drafted by the Chiefs, and his name is Dwan Jones. I don't think there's any way, even with his body and his arms, he could catch anybody that's like within earshot of him. But he tested just as bad as Orlando Brown did, essentially.
Exactly. And they're very similar players.
He's a right tackle. He's a right tackle. But Orlando wants to play left. They're already in that boat right now.
I'll tell you who stood out to me in a positive way, though. And I know that you're an Anton Harrison guy. I thought he had a decent day.
Yep.
It was Darnell Wright who looked smoother than I expected.
He looked so good.
Right?
I loved it. It confirmed everything for me on tape. I already had him as a first-round draft pick. I think he's going to go in the first round. But I also think that what he did showed he can play left tackle in the NFL. I think he's smooth enough, athletic enough that if a team took him and said, okay, we have a year, like maybe Kansas City, to show you how to play left tackle, he has the ability, the body type, the arm length, and the athletic ability to do that.
Yeah, he was smooth. The only question I have there is he never has. He's been a right tackle at Tennessee the whole time. So is he one of those guys that makes that transition easily? Or is he one of those guys that's kind of stuck on one side? And to hear Mitch Schwartz talk about it, he's like, there really are just 2 breeds. And you don't know until you try it, really. So it's funny you bring him up, though, because he is literally tied, the same exact score on my film grades as Anton Harrison. And they are 4 and 5 right now on my board. Makes sense. So, hey, good for him. Great question, and thank you for that, Yevgeny. Appreciate the support.
Appreciate you.
You guys can hit us with your super chats as we go along here. We very much appreciate them. And we're going to keep hopping around. Steve Harold asked, would Casey be interested in Tennessee quarterback Hooker as a developmental quarterback? That what round might he be selected in? I'm going to let you answer first because even though we are wearing the same lid tonight, folks, and you can get this at the RGR store, I think we have very, very different takes on Hendon Hooker in general because I am an outlier on him.
Okay, so I think Hendon Hooker is going to be drafted in the 3rd round, the 3rd or 4th round, pretty early because he got confirmation he's going to be ready for the season. But I also think a team like the Minnesota Vikings, who are 1 year out from needing another quarterback, are going to look to get a guy who I believe is as smart as any quarterback in this class, and ready to play. Probably not immediately, but he's a little bit older. Obviously, 25, I think, to start as his rookie season.
By the time next season,
it's not great. But I do think there's going to be teams based off what he did. Obviously, throwing to wide open guys at Tennessee because of the scheme does change things a little bit, but I believe he's more intelligent than the scheme he played in. So I think he'll be drafted late day 2, early day 3, and be a draft pick for a team that's going to need one going forward. So I don't think that he'll be on the Chiefs' radar because they need one back end of day 3.
Okay. I like that. And you may very well be right, because I am influenced by what I see and what I would do if I were making this decision. And that is that I would take him over Levis or Richardson.
Yeah, I don't
because
think that's
I think he can. I don't think it's going to happen either. But if it were me, and this is the reason why I say that, because he can walk into an NFL offense tomorrow and run it. I don't think that's true of either of Levis or Richardson.
It's not.
So it's not. It's what do you need in the first 5 years of a contract versus what do you need long term? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's the injury and the age.
That's it.
So I think there's a possibility. If it wasn't for the injury, I would take him over Levis and Richardson. If I'm an NFL GM right now, I think he still has a chance to go in the top 50, just because everything that I've heard about the way that he interviewed and the way that he has a command and understanding of offense, even like you said, the ones that he doesn't run. I think he had a really good week at the combine that way. So he still I get some interest, but it's got to be somebody that can see the future. Like right now, like a team that's built to win right now wants him maybe than taking a chance on letting the other guys develop. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. I think you might see a guy like DTR in Kansas City, or a Tyson Bagent, who I thought had a really nice combine for him. I forget. Bagent
feels like a Bouchel kind of guy.
Feels like it. Yeah. And he actually tested well. He was like top 4 in terms of overall athleticism for the quarterbacks in this class. Like, that was surprising. So yeah, I think someone like that is somebody you're looking for in Kansas City next year.
Chris Anderson, we did see your question, but I know we addressed it. I just wanted to shout you out. Thanks for that one. And I saw it a couple of times. So yeah, like he's a fit for us in the same way that Orlando is. You'd hope that he could move around, but DeJuan Jones is he's a right tackle that looks and plays exactly like Orlando Brown. Yeah. So Anton looks really good. Thank you, Jackson. His blocking angles and footwork are, in my opinion, the best in the draft. That's interesting. Okay. I question his angles in particular. His feet are pretty good, though. All I need to see is his handwork. And that's probably, I think that's in my review as well. Although I made a special deal on our grading sheet, Dan, so that I have mine and you'll have yours. And I want I want Anton to be one of the study points on what we see differently. It's going to be awesome.
I just need more Oklahoma tape, man.
Yeah.
I need more of it.
That always helps. But handwork, Jackson, you have a very good point. Both those guys, both he and Darnell Wright, I have a disadvantage at playing high because they're tall. They're so tall to the point that they are naturally high, and I think that has a tendency to keep their hands down a little bit more, which I think elongates the strike position itself, and that slows down what they can do to punch rather than react to punch. That's my concern about those guys. But I think, didn't Anton come in? What did he get in arm length?
So somebody fudged the input and they put it into early. It gave him 31 and a quarter. He's 34 and a quarter.
An eighth.
An eighth. Yeah. So he did meet the threshold.
Yes, absolutely. He ended up pretty good on that one, actually. Broderick came in pretty well too, 34 and 3/4. Paris Johnson at 36 and an eighth, I think, is the longest one in here. I got to check.
That should be DeJuan Jones.
Should it? Okay,
I don't think that's Paris Johnson. I don't think he got 36, but maybe
he did. Wrong. He got 36 and a half. DeJuan has 36 and 3/8.
Oh, okay. Jeez.
Yeah.
All right. So Paris Johnson might be the tackle in Kansas City next year if they trade up. My goodness.
I mean, that's one of the key metrics that they really like. But Jackson, I think the handwork is something that Anton can continue to come through on. I think he's got the ability to be more dynamic in this pad level, and I hope that he can learn to do that, because I think that will help him out pretty greatly. Let's see here. Who's next? Ryan, great name. Would you need Jalen Carter to be exonerated in order for him to draft him instead of Broderick Jones? I mean, probably, because right now, 2 indictments, there's a potential for jail. Like, there's a potential for him not to be available for you. That's the bigger concern for me.
While I understand the Chiefs drafted Tyreek Hill, okay,
In the
and
5th.
I understand they still drafted him.
Yeah.
And that's without knowing he was going to become the best receiver in the NFL. Like, they didn't know that. This was a flyer, and they still drafted him. You know what Jalen Carter is. Jalen Carter is the best defensive player in this draft by a mile. So, personally, yes. Yes, I need to know why he lied to the police 3 times. I want to know, I mean, obviously headspace after a crash.
Sure.
I can't speak to that. Losing friend, coach. I can't speak to that kind of headspace. I'm not going to try. Yeah. I need to know what's going on. The fact that he returned to Mobile, or not to Mobile, but to Indy,
Athens,
to complete the process, shows something, because he knew he was going to get grilled.
Yeah,
in the interviews after that. So it shows some, not just character, but belief that he's of sound mind to answer questions properly with, full understanding of what happened. So it's a tough situation. And again, I don't pretend to know anything about his headspace, anything like that. So personally, yes, but I don't think the Chiefs do, especially because they're the ones that get to be able to talk to him if that's what they so choose to do.
I mean, so Ryan, to answer your question, probably. I mean, there a circumstance where hopefully he wasn't driving that car that moved, and was he a passenger in that? Maybe that makes a difference. We'll see. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, this is terrible. Let's be honest. Hopefully it wasn't malicious. And my guess is they were screwing around after celebrating their national championship. Something went wrong. Yeah. So like, he's probably traumatized a little bit as well. So
exactly.
We'll just have to see how it goes. I mean, the good thing here is, unlike Laramie Tunsil, there's plenty of time to figure this out.
Yeah.
I mean, if Broderick goes and the Chiefs don't want to trade up, and Jalen were to fall that far to 31, it'd be very much a situation like they had when they drafted Justin Houston.
Yeah.
Another player from Georgia, played in an elite program, got busted for weed, fell down the boards. Taking him at 31, I'm not terribly concerned with, again, other than, is there a possibility that he legally is not even able to play for you? That's the big concern.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Our Chiefs need defensive end, defensive tackle, and safety. In my opinion, we have enough developmental offensive linemen. Jimmy, I like your idea, but I don't agree. I think they have enough developmental interior offensive linemen. I think the cupboard is nearly bare at tackle, though.
Yeah. You don't have anybody.
Yeah, I'm scared.
You really don't.
Prince Segamanaga is not a viable option, in my opinion.
Not anymore. I thought he could have been 2 years ago.
2 years ago,
It's been 2 years. So
Darian Kennard is a guard, folks.
Yeah.
The only one who doesn't know it is Darian.
You got to turn it over. It's all about turning it over. Like, you have to continuously put guys back there.
Yeah. So I think that they might even come away with 2 tackles out of this class. I think that's a distinct possibility.
I'm with you.
Guy who popped out to me today or yesterday from the O-line group was Jordan McFadden. I thought he had a pretty good day out. Now, he's not really tackle size, but he's got the tackle arm length. He hit the 34. So I think he could do. I like Bergeron. I haven't been able to get a ton of film on him, though.
Yeah, that's tough.
I've only seen him live twice, and it's tough. So, yeah, he's on there. I have not done wide receivers yet. I did watch Xavier Hutchinson live one time this last season. But, Dan, have you done this film yet?
I haven't gotten a ton of it. I watched him at the Senior Bowl. I'm not impressed with Hutchinson, personally. What I saw, again in the Senior Bowl, it wasn't a lot of inconsistencies. But once we get into the tape, we'll know for sure how I feel about a player, because, a couple practices at the Senior Bowl are going to give me everything you need on a player. It helps confirm some things if you've already seen their tape, but it doesn't really help if you're seeing them fresh for the first time.
Yeah, it can be confirmation, but it's not enough to just start on. Thank you, Jeremy. How do you feel about Cook taking over next year? I know you were big on him last year. I'm comfortable with it. I don't think the position can be done, though, because I do feel, especially with Spags as your coordinator, you must have 3 viable guys that are dynamic. I came in we'll probably talk about this. I think there's another safety question, but I'll tell you this. I was disappointed in all the safeties.
All of them.
Nobody ran well. And that's a problem. Now, I wonder if it was maybe a with during that testing group. I don't know. We'll find out eventually, but I'm going to watch particularly for the safeties, all the pro day numbers, and see what we get back. How do you feel about him taking over as one of the two deep there?
I feel better now than I did probably halfway through the season. He feels more comfortable now. And again, like you said, after watching the safeties perform, I'm with you with Juan Thornhill not being in Kansas City next year. Like it didn't have anything to do with the report they were bracing to lose him. It was the fact that these safeties did not look good, and that bumps up the free agent market. Like Jesse Bates is going to get paid, and Juan Thornhill, who played well this year, is going to get paid. And that's just kind of how it worked before. I thought these were good safeties. I thought they tested well. I thought they were going to test well. Didn't really turn out that way. We're talking about maybe one in the back half of the first round. Maybe. Although I will say this, there are guys like the guy that I like the most out of the class is just because he's a playmaker. I knew he wasn't going to be a great athlete. That he certainly proved that today yesterday with a 4.62 or whatever day he ran. But I still like Chris Smith as a day 2 player that maybe could even slip into day 3 that just makes plays. And so if you're going to have somebody like that, like it's a cheap year to acquire somebody like that. Yeah, it should be. I mean, the top guys that ran were Jartavius Martin, Daniel Scott out of Cal, Brandon Hill out of Pitt. Like these aren't necessarily hallmark players that you thought were going to run.
Scott on my watch board. That's how little he has to offer on film.
Yeah, it was tough to watch some of these guys who you thought were going to be like Trey Dean. I thought was going to be a good runner. 4.75. That's bordering you can't play safety, bud. You're a linebacker almost.
It's getting really close to that, right?
So yeah, it was tough. And again, like you said, maybe it was a slow ticker. I personally don't agree with a lot of the times that I saw for some of the guys that were running.
Right.
A lot of them. So, like, for example, today, Tank Bigsby ran like a 4.56.
Yeah.
I don't know if I agree with that.
Yeah, he looks faster on film, right?
I was thinking 4.4. Like I was thinking 4.45.
Really? Okay.
Not flat, but 4.45. That's what I thought when I was. But so some of the wide receivers, Jalen Hyatt 4.4 flat.
Yeah, I mean, my guy Kenny McIntosh didn't break into the 4.5s.
Kenny McIntosh is so much faster than that.
It was weird. So, but Kevin, because of Kenny, I don't think the organization will ever go towards Hunt again. And I know everybody still misses him, but that's why I tried to help you guys out this afternoon on my Twitter feed, because Zach Charbonnet outran him in every test. And Zach Charbonnet is going to be available. So, hey, if you really need to do it. I also was really happy with what I saw from Rashawn Johnson today. I thought Kenny looked good in the drills. None of the times really matched up for me, but I think there's going to be day 3 guys that are going to be applicable to this offense.
Yeah, I wish Charbonnet was a day 3 guy, but
right.
He's firmly going in like the end of round 2. He had a really nice day today. I know he didn't run hugely fast. He still ran 4.5. Like he had a good 40. He was really good in the explosion metrics. Like he confirmed him. He was a solid day round 2 pick, which puts him firmly out of the reach for the Kansas City Chiefs.
And folks, I haven't started to calculate the matrix for the running backs yet on input and verifying those numbers. So I don't have those for you tonight. We'll see if I get them by tomorrow, but see how late I'm up tonight. What do you do with the Chiefs punter? You bring Tommy back. I don't think it's much of a question. Do you, Dan?
He was an all-pro, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He was an all-pro punter. He's coming back.
If you don't like his holds, don't let him hold. Get the backup quarterback today because his foot's awesome.
Dude, he was awesome this year. And Holly, I know you just came in here not too long ago. He has been just hats off. Your guy has just played so well this year. This past year, he deserves the re-sign he's going to get.
What is the best player you've seen from the combine? Okay, so thank you, James. Great question. The best combine performer, Dan, not film, best combine performer that you think is within striking distance of the Kansas City Chiefs.
DJ Turner.
Okay,
DJ Turner was everything. He had the fastest. I think he ran the fastest time at the
At the
combine,
combine
this year.
Yes.
From everybody. There's he's not just a slot, by the way. They're talking about him like he's just a slot on the broad, like Brock. No, that dude's
Right,
not
yeah.
just a slot corner. He's physical. He can play the outside. He can play the inside.
He's
I'm not
5'11".
saying,
Yeah. He can...
I'm not saying this happens. Okay.
Okay.
I don't want it to happen. If the Chiefs were to move on from L'Jarius Sneed, we're talking about a draft to do it in. I tweeted this out. If there was a time that they said, all right, we know he's a good player, we need to keep the cupboards full, and we understand that this might be the time to get the most out of him in terms of a trade value. This is the draft to do it. I don't want them to. I don't think they're going to trade him, okay? Disclaimer.
I hope not.
But DJ Turner can fill that role tomorrow. Maybe he won't be as great as he is, but he can fill that role.
The only question that I have about him, he is number 1 in the deep range matrix. He's number 2 in the explosive range matrix. That's a little bit shorter, where you have to go from the 10 to the 40, right? In that gap. The only question that I have is he didn't test his agilities. And what I saw from tape was very hit or miss. And so I don't know exactly what he's capable with in terms of a two-way go out of the slot. Like, what can he really do?
I get it. I can understand not doing it. But from everything I've seen, he was on the Feldman's freak list with his agility drills. So I'm not super worried about it in terms of that. But again, he did play predominantly on the outside at Michigan this past year. Really physical guy. He has ball skills. I think asking him, and plus, if you do bring him in, you also have another first-round corner from last year that played in the slot a little bit. I don't know if you want to go that route. I'm just saying you have options in Kansas City.
First-round corner is going to just make me grind my teeth, though. I got to tell you,
this class is that good, though. It is that good.
I'm coming around on Banks as well, so we'll talk about him later.
I'm going to watch Banks on my Twitch channel this week. I'm doing it. After his combine, I was like, I got to get, and plus, we'll get both of them. We'll get both of the Maryland corners.
Jacorian, sorry.
Jacorian,
I keep screwing up his name. Thoughts on potential all Vols right side? Yeah, we talked about Darnell a little bit ago, Mr. Proctober. We definitely were very happy with his performance. I have him as a top 5 tackle. I do believe. Yeah, he's tied for 4th right now. There will be tiebreakers. Athleticism will be one of them. So will production. Your single quality has never been better, Ryan. Thank you, Span. I appreciate that.
Let's go.
I was worried it was fading there. We all have our ideas on the Chiefs want or need. What's your take on what we actually do need, as well as what the Chiefs want?
Okay.
I think they want to get an extension with Orlando, and they want to find a viable free agent replacement at wide receiver, possibly at edge, but it's not the greatest class out there. So I do think wide receiver gives them a little bit more options. I think they want to do that. What actually happens, I don't know about the wide receiver part. I do feel they can get Orlando on a contract. I do think they have to draft an edge and draft an offensive tackle. That's what I think has to happen.
I'm with you. And I'm more confident that Juju comes back myself, but again, this is not the best wide receiver free agent class. He might have money thrown at him. We don't know. So there's not really a bunch of certainty with that, but everything else you said, I fully agree with.
Okay, fair enough. Jackson, I got to be honest, I'm not as high on your guy Broderick. Oh, okay. He looks a little stiff in the hips. I don't know that I'd call him stiff-hipped. I would say that he doesn't play well. He has a tendency to duck and lunge at times. It bothers me. But I think that's coachable. I'm not worried about that. Dan, do you see stiffness in his hips or lower chain?
No, I think he's the most athletic tackle in this class outside of Johnson. He's number 2 for me in terms of athleticism.
Super smooth.
Johnson just he impressed me even from I knew he was going to be a really good athlete. He was just so much better than I expected to. So, but Broderick is right there for me.
Yeah, I mean, and I'll have no argument with anybody that decides to go Paris over him.
No, me either.
Paris has more problems with power. Jones is still learning. He played right a lot earlier in his career. He's played behind other good tackles. He's just barely scratching the surface. I think there's way more upside to Jones than there is to Johnson, but maybe overall, especially if you were running a quick set offense and you're not expected to hold up against bull rushes for 3 seconds, maybe I can see a team actually grading Johnson out over him. Fine. No big deal. Everybody has a little bit differences here. I'm not concerned about it too much. Jimmy, thanks for the support, buddy. Jalen Hyatt is my first round move up receiver. Jones is worth moving up in the first round. I would move up for Branch or Nolan Smith. I can't move up for Jalen Hyatt.
Nope.
He doesn't do enough. Honestly.
Also didn't do the agility drills.
Right. Very much on purpose, right? And honestly, he's a guy that should have 0 drops at the combine, period. And there were just too many. Twice, I think, in the gauntlet, which is absolutely unforgivable for a guy like that who has to come and improve that he's not just a deep ball catcher. Now, he tracked well overhead like we expect.
Always does,
Yep, did all the things that we see on film, but he didn't change my mind in his short range, intermediate range catchability. That's a problem.
I'm going to keep it short because I could talk about this for a long time, and I'm not trying to talk at you, Jimmy. Just know this, in terms of talent, is a 3rd round prospect for me.
I have him as a 2.
And that's fine. You can move him up for speed. And that's fine. Sure. That's what NFL teams will do.
Yeah.
It's a lot like the McCole Hardman situation for me.
Mm-hmm.
They play a lot of the same in terms of how they play and what they're asked to do. You ask McCole Hardman to come out there and make guys miss in space and change direction. What does he look like? He'll look very good doing it. But he's gotten better. He's been asked to use more of the jet sweeps and the scheme touches and like stuff like that because of his acceleration. I don't think Jalen Hyatt is going to be a complete receiver. They have Marquez, who's a deep threat.
Mm-hmm.
If they want a deep threat, they can just keep him in Kansas City. Then we need to draft Jalen Hyatt for it. And they might be high on him. I don't know.
Who knows? Would you move up for Branch or Nolan?
I wouldn't move up for Branch. Personally, I'd move up for Nolan because I think he's a stud.
He's in my top 5, and I think I'm alone in that because he's undersized for what he does.
If he would have played this year,
it's film bias, isn't it?
He'd be in everybody's top 5. He might even be like right behind Will Anderson.
Same thing for JSN. You just forget because you ain't seen him in a year.
You guys would be the first to know JSN is not my number 1 receiver in this draft class.
No, really?
And it's not just because of this. I've been waffling back and forth between him and Johnston, but he did the tests and he absolutely killed it. And he confirmed everything to everybody. He's like, guess what? I'm not going to run my 40, but I'm going to run the agility tests, and I'm going to come out here and I'm going to run routes around everybody.
That whip route. It's his whip route that made me text Kurt Benkert, who was throwing the passes to him. And I was just like, so good. I still have Jordan Addison number 1 just by a hair. And I wanted to see more from Jordan. I think I don't know if he was 100% there. I don't know what the problem was. He just didn't look near as comfortable as JSN did.
I mean, that's what he looked like to me on film. I'll be honest. Like, that's what I saw. I saw Addison. I'm like, okay, 4.4. That's about right. He doesn't have that 4.3 speed. And I honestly, I tweeted, like, when you have corners out against him that are comfortable with the deep threat and they have speed to him, that he didn't threaten them. He didn't do it once.
He's not scary.
Yeah.
I agree with you on Branch too, though. I like Branch as a player. If he were there at 31, sure, but I'm not moving up for him.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And that's if I've sorted out edge and offensive tackle in free agency. Who will be replaced first, Brown or Wiley? I think it'll be Wiley because I think they're going to put the tag on Brown and it's going to sit until draft day.
I just don't think Wiley's gone. I just don't. I still don't think he's gone.
Okay.
That's just
so Dan is clearly on the Brown side of that.
I didn't say that.
Oh no?
Not necessarily.
You think they both play?
I don't. I think both of them might end up playing this year.
Oh wow. Okay.
We'll see.
All right.
Or be in Kansas City this year. I'll say that.
Okay, fair enough. After watching most of the comment, I believe KC should take either an edge or an offensive tackle. Yes, you're 100% with us, Jonathan. I also love the content you guys put out. I'm excited for the future of the KC. Well, thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
And we 100% agree with you. I mean, even though you have Johnson wide receiver 1, right?
No, JSN now is my number 1 receiver.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Either of them, though, aren't going to make you go get them over a tackle or an edge that you have a first-round grade on, right?
Absolutely not.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify that. What is the 3 strongest groups of draftees this year?
All right.
What's your top 3?
So my top 3, honestly, it's corner, defensive end, and offensive tackle. Those are the 3 best. I think tight end is like right up there too. At the top, it's not as deep as the other 3. I think running back is really good too, but I still think that those 3 are not only the best, the strongest, they're also the deepest.
I would put tight end in there because they are a really good class.
Yeah, they are.
They're
like the best in
not,
over a decade.
They're just not elite. You know what I mean?
Athletes. You got some athletes.
The edges still might be better, but I will say this: they're definitely deeper. And I want to make this very clear when you guys see the Matrix. And thank you for all of you who started pre-ordering already. That's going to help us out a ton. That always does. And you can get it right here. You can pre-order right now at rogueapc.com. And as soon as it drops, you'll have a link in your receipt that you'll be able to download it from immediately. It will not be a problem.
Let's go.
Yeah, it should be fun. But I will say this too. I put Elijah Higgins is now officially a tight end on my board.
Should be on everybody's.
You're good with that? Okay. Cool.
Yeah, I think he's going to be in the NFL.
I hope so. I mean, everyone that I know that has ever even considered it would do that as well. Who's surprisingly moving up your board from second round to the end of the first? That's good for the Chiefs. That's a great question, Kurt, and very specific, and I appreciate that. For me, it is one player in particular. He is DT1 in terms of athleticism. It is Adewale.
I was about to say that dude.
Yeah, I mean, creepy good, right? And here's the thing: they continue to call him a freaking edge, and he's not. He's a screaming 3-tech that can play next to Chris and destroy the interior. I'm so here for this.
He can also play. They asked him to try out at linebacker drills. They asked him to play linebacker drills. That's how scary, athletic this 280-pound monster is.
The next time they play the Bengals, you pull Danny Shelton up, put him in the middle, and you have Colin Saunders and Adewale at linebacker. Come at me, bro. Bring everything you got. We got this.
He wasn't even on my radar until the Senior Bowl. And then all of a sudden, he's going to be a first-round draft pick, whether it's going to be at KC or in that 20-ish. I fully believe right now he's going to be.
Yeah, he should be. Thank you for this, Teddy. I didn't realize that. Addison did have a back thing. Okay, cool. I feel better knowing that, actually. Let's see. Ryan agrees. Don't trade Snead. I'm just grabbing a couple of here because I got really behind here, folks. I'm sorry about that. You're going to find that when we talk about draft prospects in particular, we're going to be really long-winded. So make sure you come to
it's a good thing.
Right? We have a whole other hour tomorrow that would just be Q&A. So if you're new to us, this is a fun one. We might even start calling this Sunday Night Live now just because of Travis. Yeah. Travis, and I have to get your opinion on him too. But Monday night is going to be questions, draft picks, draft stock, the whole 9 yards all the time. Did you watch it, SNL?
No. I'm not going to lie. I don't care that Kelce was hosting it. I can see all the clips that were funny the next day on Twitter. I don't have to stay up for no reason.
Getting caught up here. Dan, would you sign Fletcher Cox?
Sure.
He's a free agent. What would you give him?
See, that's the thing. He's going to want money too, because even though he's older, he's still going to want what, $8 million a year?
Oh, at least.
Probably more.
He's coming off of a 14 APY. He's going to want 10 minimum.
So no. Next.
Yeah,
next.
Tough. Do you think the Chiefs could draft a quarterback in the late rounds, or would they sign someone UDFA pool? I think yes to probably both. To tell you the truth. Somebody I had a thought. Like we were saying before, Badgett looks like a Bouchel clone
for sure.
I thought Stetson Bennett threw the ball pretty well.
I'll be honest with you right here. I think Stetson Bennett's going to go in the 4th or 5th round.
You think he will? Wow. Okay.
I not only did he throw well, I think he tested well. He showed him as a much better athlete, and I agree. He was running pretty smooth, and he looked like he just kind of stopped at the very end of it and didn't run it all the way through his 40. I don't know. I think that I was very impressed. I'll just say that because I don't like Stetson Bennett, but I think he showed he's a pretty good athlete, and I was very impressed by it.
I got to tell you, Aiden O'Connell looks like he should be a plumber, but he moved the ball well. He was fluid in the pocket. He delivered well. Like I could see him on this roster as a developmental guy too. And
Absolutely.
DTR for sure. I mean, you nailed that earlier. That's easy.
Yeah, so easy.
And Jaron Hall continues to perplex me. I thought he looked terrible on those out throws. He looked decent on the in breakers. He was missing guys deep.
That I since I have watched Puka Nacua in depth, I have seen this. This is Jaron Hall. This is who he is. He is going to just make some befuddling. How'd you miss that throw? And then he's going to drop it in the bucket down the left sideline, right in front of the corner. He's just he's befuddling.
I'm with you. Tommy, great question. Who could replace Thornhill in the draft or the free agency? I found it very, very intriguing that Jordan Poyer was on TV talking about being a free agent. Yeah. He had a chance. He was on a 1 year. He could have gone back last year. Like, I would love to see that. I would take Poyer, honestly, over Bates. I like his game better.
Okay. And he fits better in a 3-man rotation, too, than I would say Bates does.
Agreed. But they're both going to be $10 million a year, and I don't think they can do it.
No.
As a third safety to replace Thornhill, assuming Cox is now the starter behind Reed, I do still like Chris Smith because like I said, he just makes plays. I was really disappointed when Hickman didn't run because I wanted to see him. What were did you notice Johnson from Texas A&M at all?
No, I didn't. I didn't get to see him.
I'm going to have to go back and watch Martin because when I watched Illinois, the 2 games that I have I was looking at Sidney Brown. So I'm going to have to go back and check him.
I was about to say, because give me Sidney Brown in this defense. I won't lie. Or both of them. Either of them, honestly. I'll be just give me athletes in the secondary. Let them sort them out.
The other guy that tested as a below average, and you guys in the Matrix and the Draft Guide, I always run 7-year averages. So it's not like the last 3, because you get too many outliers that way. But he tested below, but I really like his game, and that's Brandon Joseph. If you're going to have a guy that's just going to have to be in the box, I think he ran like a terrible, he both my guys, Brandon Joseph and Chris Smith, ran 4.62.
4.62.
I mean, it was not pretty, but those are 2 guys that I think as the third, where you don't have to have the over-the-top responsibilities as often, I think that they could suffice. Who's the best defensive end or wide receiver that the Chiefs can draft?
Okay. That's an interesting question.
Whew. Good Lord.
Well, I think Derek Hall will be there at 31.
Mm-hmm.
If we're talking about just where they're at right now, 31, not trading up. I think Derek Hall will be there personally. For edge, I also think I don't think there's any chance anymore Nolan Smith is there. I think he's pretty much a top 15 pick.
I don't know about that, but I do think you have to get up to 22 or so.
Yeah, I think Van Ness will be gone out from where he tested. So if I'm going defensive end, no, correct. He shouldn't be because I don't know if he can play outside.
He's a tackle. He's not an edge.
I was about to say.
He's a tackle.
So we'll see about that. But I think Derek Hall is probably going to be the guy at 31 if they don't move. And wide receiver, probably, in the first round, I'm going to say it, and I'm just going to leave it at that. Josh Downs, and I'll just say goodnight.
Okay.
I think he's a in this wide receiver class. I think he's a first-round pick.
Okay. I can get that.
That's if you're reaching at wide receiver at 31. That's all.
Folks,
I won't recommend it.
I'm going to give you a last call for questions because I got to be out at the top of the hour for a family thing. So we are going to end on time. Daniel Rowe, welcome to the membership.
Appreciate you, Daniel.
Thank you. You can head over to Discord. If you joined at the rookies level or above, all you have to do is tie your YouTube account to your Discord account, and you're in like Flit. Super easy. And thanks to FLDB for setting that up.
Yep.
If Veach trades OBJ for a top 20 pick, he's the GOAT. Yes, because he ain't getting no top 20 pick for Orlando Brown. I'll tell you that right now. Let's see. Allocate resources this year or move up for Marvin Jones next year. You're going to have to move into the top 5 to get Marvin Jones.
Marvin Harrison, but
sorry. Yeah, Marvin Jones. Sorry, Marvin. Marvin Harrison Jr., you might have to get in the top 3.
I was about to say, we're talking about a guy who's going to be in talks for the first player drafted.
Yeah.
He's not going to because Caleb Williams will be coming out, and he's going to go number 1 overall. But that's the level of prospect we're talking about. I will say it. I'll say it again. Marvin Harrison shouldn't play next year. He should not play at all.
He cannot improve his draft stock.
Nope.
He can
All
do
he can
nothing
do
to
is
help
hurt it.
himself. Yeah,
He can
exactly.
get hurt, and he can only hurt it. He shouldn't play.
I agree. Denny, what should be the perfect size? I need a guy that has a 20-plus win rate when he is in pass rush, period. I need a guy that produces at least at a 15% clip pressure rate. And I need a guy that breaks my magic number, and that's 11. 11 is the combined 3-cone and short shuttle. That's what I have to have in order to feel really good. I'll never say perfect, but really good about an edge.
I'm very open about size for defensive end because I love me some like 6'2", 250-pound with some like 33-inch arm guys that have some speed up the arc. But I'm not gonna lie, you still have to have speed. Okay, I prefer speed at defensive end. I'm not Spags. No offense, Spags. You did a great job with what you did this year. Hats off to Joe Cullen too. But I like some guys that have speed. So that's why Derek Hall is one of my favorite defensive ends because he came in at 250 something at the combine. He plays a little bit heavier than that. He's got 34-inch arms and he's fast. He doesn't have the bend that you want in terms of like bend it, but he can corner and he can get off the ball. The dude's explosive. He's like my physical size prototype. I love his prototype of what he brings in terms of size.
Yeah. I mean, and people are going to tell you, and Julian, Julian, I know you just made this comment, but I'm going to pop you up to the top here, buddy. Because Tyree is going to be the guy that they talk about size because he is elite.
For sure.
I mean, he's better size than even JPP, right? And I have come around. He's got more to him than I thought he had when I watched him during the season. So I have come around. I can see him as a first rounder. I still don't see him as a top 10 guy because he doesn't know what he's doing.
That's the thing. Like at 31, I'm in.
Sure.
I'm in. Sure. Bring him in. Top 10? No.
Yeah, that's where I draw the line too. He's a late round first guy to me because he doesn't know what he's doing. He can't walk in as good as he is physically. He can't walk into this defense and beat Tom Bahali. He just can't do it, in my opinion. Now, everybody's a projection. Maybe teams feel a lot different than me, and somebody takes him in the top 10. I just can't see it.
I'm with you.
Daniel, welcome. I hope you're doing good up there. I got a buddy up in Dawson City who says it's freezing cold. It's like 20 below. So I can feel your pain from here, buddy. Thanks for being here. Let's see. What makes Brett Veach such a good GM? How much credit should go to Mahomes reading the organization as a whole, and how much should go to Veach? I mean, playing the field should go to Mahomes and Reed. Veach has nothing to do with that other than putting pieces into place to become that good. In my opinion, a lot of credit should go to guys like Ryan Nutt, Trey Koziel before, Pat Sperduto right now, the guys that are the leaders within the scouting ranks that bring all these guys to Veach to then sift through and take to Andy. This organization, I think very much so, Brett is successful because he knows what Andy wants and they match. He's not trying to like sell something different to Andy Reid. But it's the guys who find them, who bring them these late round dudes that seem to work out year after year after year.
Yeah, and when it comes to going up, calling the Patriots to go get your guy in Trent McDuffie, like that situational stuff and trying to figure all that stuff out, obviously that's all Brett Veach. But this is a very close group up in the scouting department, and obviously Brett Veach was a scout before he was the GM. He knows what he's doing when he's evaluating these guys. And when you talk about bringing specific guys, they don't have to comb through. He doesn't have to comb through all these guys. Like Brett Veach is like, okay, I got the list of who we want, and especially now they have it all like figured out. They have the guys that they want, and they have it all down to like the science, and we've seen it the last 2 years. It makes his job easier to pick these guys out for him. So
it really, really does. It is a group effort. Teddy, thank you for your support. Good to see you back. Did the combine change your opinion on a wide receiver that you didn't want the Chiefs to draft? And who are your top 5 guys at the position in this class? It solidified my feeling that the guy that tracks the ball over his head the best is still A.T. Perry. JSN is right there with him, though. Did you see the one deep pass that was supposed to be on the inside shoulder, and he literally cranked his head all the way around to make the catch on the other side? I mean, that is something with Mahomes' arm that could be just Deadly. He's still not in my top 5 though. Who do you got?
Yeah, he ran better than I expected to. I just didn't see that on tape. Charlie Jones also ran a 4.43. Dude's not a 4.43 player on the field. That was really weird to see. And I know people were all over Zay Flowers, and that's not me calling you out, Julian. I don't see special with Zay Flowers. I think people are looking at this wide receiver class and they're trying to find something to look at. And he's a very good athlete. He plays well. He's a good receiver. Like, I don't see elite. And I know people think he's like this elite mover in space. I haven't seen that. I've seen like 3 games of him. And I know that he's got some of that quick twitch. I'm spending too much time on this, I know. But my top 5 are JSN, Quentin Johnston. I have Josh Downs right there. It was Keishon Butte until he absolutely bombed. He's now out of my top 5. Then Jordan Addison, and I think I'll just have a placeholder for now.
I'm battling between Rashee Rice and Cedric Tillman right there. I think Tillman's underrated. I
would say Tillman because he was my wide receiver 6. But Rice impressed me. And I liked his tape.
I haven't seen it yet. That's my problem.
I liked what I saw, but there was a lot of inconsistencies with his athletic ability. And that was fair enough. And that was a problem for me. Like, his route running wasn't always consistent. Some of his breaks were off. And then he comes in and completely blows up the combine for him. And I'm just like,
hey,
okay. If you can do the contested catch stuff and you can leap out of the gym, I might be in. I might be in every Rashee Rice.
That could work. Thank you, Teddy. We appreciate your support, folks. We're going to power through these last 4, and we're going to get out the door. Thank you for your time tonight. Make sure you like, sub, and hit the bell, and check out the Athletic Matrix at rogueapc.com. You can pre-order right now. I don't have a question, but I want to say what's up, guys, and glad I made it to a live instead of watching on rerun. Well, I'm glad you made it too.
Appreciate it, Oscar.
Cheers, buddy. Sugary, do you think that Kuntz or Laporta moved up to Series Day 2 consideration? I think Laporta's right on the edge. I think Kuntz is still squarely a Day 3 guy.
Laporta's so small.
Yeah.
How is he going to play tight end in the NFL? I'm sorry. I know there's a lot of a lot of guys out there that really like him, and he's a really good athlete. He's too small.
He's Noah Gray. He has to grow into his body and continue to grow, or he can only be an H, really.
Yeah.
I would like to change my answer after looking at the highlights. Jones looks awesome. He had a great footer, get with the ball really fast. Yes, I'm glad you're seeing what I'm seeing, dude. There's in the championship game, there's a counter run where he takes the same counter step as the back and obliterates 3 dudes on one block. It's so incredible. It makes me happy in places I shouldn't talk about. Ryan, is the draft guide the same media as the Matrix? Downloadable PFF. It is a downloadable PFF. People have asked for an ebook, and I've looked at that format, but it really doesn't do anything for you. And sometimes it can actually look worse. So I think I'm just going to keep it all as PDFs again. Thanks, Ryan. Do you plan on doing any mock draft lives anytime soon? Yes. I mean, maybe next Sunday we'll start that. We're still working on Sundays. Obviously, tonight's an hour later, but we're going to get to that figured out. And yes, we are going to start doing mocks. Thank you, Cole. I'm glad you're here. And is Andre Carter too tall? Jesus, yes. It's not that he's too tall, it's that he's too weak.
Dude, he's not an NFL player. He's not. No. He will not play in the NFL. I don't even know if he gets drafted. I'll be very honest with you.
He honestly, if he were to decide, if he were to get a permanent waiver where he can actually put on the poundage that he should, he needs to get 20 pounds of muscle because he just plays too weak for what he is.
And most people don't know. Because he plays at Army, he literally can't. Yeah, he's not allowed to put on the weight. He's not allowed to train. There's a certain amount he can lift. He's not allowed to do anything else. It's not his fault. Maybe it's because he's made the commitment to the military, and they have to be more cardiovascularly fit than they have to be powerfully fit. So it is a thing, and I worry for him because if he does get that waiver, he's got a lot of work to do. I don't know if he's going to. Will he get released? Probably not. Yeah, I can't think so. If he doesn't have a round 1 or 2 future, I don't think they will. So that's going to do it for us tonight, folks. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your support. I got to run to a family thing, but we will be back tomorrow night at 6 Central like we always are. Absolutely. And thanks for the time, and say hi to little one for me. Will do, y'all. Thanks for joining. We'll have some fun tomorrow night. Cheers. Talk to you then.